Do you know what history rarely tells us? It tells us who won battles, who wore crowns, and who built empires, but it often remains silent about the people who mastered the greatest victory of all, the victory over hardship. The Orcadians were among those people. They lived where the wind showed no mercy, where the sea could turn against them without warning, and where every sunrise demanded strength before it offered hope. Yet they did not curse the storm, they did not wait for easier days. They became stronger than the very challenges that surrounded them. This is where true greatness begins. A king is not measured by the luxury of his throne, but by the burdens he can carry without allowing his spirit to fall. The Orcadians understood this long before the world began writing books about resilience. Every fierce winter taught them patience. Every crashing wave taught them respect. Every difficult season reminded them that survival belongs not to the strongest body, but to the strongest heart. Ask yourself this question: what happens when life refuses to go according to your plans? Most people become prisoners of frustration. They complain about the weather of their lives. They blame circumstances, luck, and even time itself. But the Orcadians chose another path. They accepted that the storm was not their enemy. It was their teacher. Think of a sword in the hands of a great king. Before it becomes a weapon worthy of defending a kingdom, it must first endure the furnace. It is burned until it glows like fire. It is struck again and again by the blacksmith's hammer. It is plunged into cold water only to face the flames once more. If the sword could speak, it might call this suffering, but the blacksmith calls it preparation. Your life follows the same law. Every disappointment is another strike of the hammer. Every failure is another moment inside the fire. Every delay is another opportunity for your character to become sharper than your circumstances. The Orcadians never believed that comfort created greatness. They knew that comfort often weakens the soul while struggle strengthens it. Living on isolated islands surrounded by unforgiving seas meant there were no guarantees. Food had to be earned. Shelter had to be protected. Every journey demanded courage because nature offered no promises. Yet instead of allowing fear to rule them, they learned to walk with confidence even when uncertainty surrounded every step. That is the difference between ordinary people and extraordinary people. Ordinary people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Extraordinary people ask, "What is this preparing me for?" King Arthur understood this truth better than most. Camelot was never protected simply because its walls were strong. It endured because the hearts inside those walls refused to surrender. A kingdom built on comfort collapses the moment hardship arrives. A kingdom built on resilience stands even when the earth beneath it trembles. The Orcadians built that kind of kingdom within themselves. Their greatest fortress was never made of stone. It was built from discipline. It was built from patience. It was built from the decision to rise every single morning, regardless of what yesterday had taken from them. Look carefully at your own battles. Perhaps your storm is rejection. Perhaps it is failure after years of effort. Perhaps it is loneliness while chasing a dream that no one else understands. Do not believe that these hardships are signs you should stop. More often than not, they are signs that life is shaping you into someone capable of carrying greater responsibility. Remember this well. The eagle never learns to fly by hiding from the wind. It rises because it learns how to use the wind that once threatened to destroy it. The Orcadians did the same. They transformed harsh conditions into strength. They transformed isolation into wisdom. They transformed struggle into unshakable character. That is why history remembers their existence, even if it rarely tells the full story. Their greatest achievement was never simply surviving on distant islands. Their greatest achievement was becoming the kind of people who could never be defeated by circumstances, because long before they conquered the world around them, they had already conquered the fear within themselves. There is another truth the world seldom celebrates. We are taught to admire the lone hero, the fearless warrior who stands against impossible odds. But history itself tells a different story. No kingdom has ever endured because of one man alone. No castle has stood for centuries because of a single pair of hands. Every lasting civilization has been carried by people who understood that unity is not a weakness. It is the greatest force ever placed into human hands. The Orcadians knew this secret, and it became the foundation of their survival. Imagine standing on a lonely island surrounded by an endless sea. The winds are fierce, the winters are unforgiving, and the resources are limited. In such a place, pride becomes dangerous. A man who believes he needs no one will soon discover how powerless he truly is. The Orcadians understood that survival demanded something greater than individual strength. It demanded trust. It demanded loyalty. It demanded the willingness to stand shoulder to shoulder, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. This is the lesson every future leader must learn. A king does not become great because people fear him. He becomes great because people believe in him. King Arthur never dreamed of building Camelot with his sword alone. Even the mightiest blade cannot raise a kingdom. It cannot harvest food, protect every family, or inspire every heart. Arthur gathered knights around a round table for one reason above all others. Every voice mattered. Every warrior had a purpose. Every person carried a piece of the kingdom's future. Camelot was strongest not when one knight stood above the others, but when they stood together for a cause greater than themselves. The Orcadians lived by that same unwritten law. When storms came, they did not ask who would save them. They became one another's strength. When hardship arrived, they did not compete against each other. They worked beside each other. When uncertainty filled the horizon, they chose cooperation over division. That choice became their greatest shield. Look at the world today. Many people measure success by asking, "How far can I go alone?" But wiser people ask, "How many lives can I lift as I climb?" There is a profound difference between these two questions. The first builds ego. The second builds legacy. Never mistake isolation for independence. A lone tree standing in an open field is the first to face the full force of the storm. But a forest endures because every tree shelters another. Their roots stretch beneath the ground, unseen by the eye, strengthening one another in silence. When fierce winds arrive, they do not stand alone. Together, they become stronger than the storm itself. Your life follows this same principle. No dream is achieved without the encouragement of someone who believed in you. No great leader succeeds without loyal companions. No meaningful victory is won without sacrifice shared among many hearts. The Orcadians understood that every member of their community mattered. The strongest protected the weakest. The experienced guided the young. Knowledge was not hidden for personal gain. It was passed from one generation to the next, ensuring that every child inherited not only land, but wisdom. They realized that a kingdom's true wealth was never measured by gold stored in its halls. It was measured by the character of its people and the trust they placed in one another. Ask yourself this: what kind of person are you becoming? Do people feel stronger after standing beside you? Do your words bring courage or doubt? Do your actions unite people or divide them? A true leader does not create followers who depend on him forever. A true leader creates others who discover their own strength. That is how kingdoms survive long after the crown changes hands. Too many people chase recognition while forgetting responsibility. They want applause without service, influence without sacrifice, and authority without humility. But history has never honored those who sought greatness for themselves alone. It remembers those who used their strength to protect others. The Orcadians remind us that the strongest wall around any kingdom is not built from stone. It is built from trust. It is built from loyalty. It is built from people who refuse to abandon one another when life becomes difficult. When one person falls, another reaches out a hand. When one heart grows weary, another offers hope. When one dream seems impossible, many hearts together make it achievable. This is why unity has always been more powerful than pride. A single spark can fade in the darkness, but thousands of sparks together become a fire that no storm can extinguish. That was the hidden strength of the Orcadians. They understood that true power is never found in standing above others. It is found in standing beside them. Long before they built homes that could withstand the wind, they built bonds that could withstand fear. And those invisible bonds became stronger than any fortress, because a united people can survive trials that would destroy even the greatest empire built on selfishness alone. Perhaps the greatest lesson hidden within the story of the Orcadians is one that the modern world almost refuses to believe. We have been taught that greatness must always be loud. We are told that success is measured by applause, by recognition, by titles, and by the number of eyes watching us. Yet history quietly whispers another truth. The strongest foundations are almost always built where no one is looking. The Orcadians did not spend their lives seeking fame. They spent their lives becoming people worthy of trust, worthy of responsibility, and worthy of the future they hoped to leave behind. Their legacy was not created by seeking attention. It was created by living with unwavering character every single day. King Arthur understood this better than most rulers who ever wore a crown. A shining crown could impress a kingdom for a day, but only noble character could protect that kingdom for generations. Arthur never believed that a man's value came from the gold upon his shoulders. He believed it came from the promises he kept when breaking them would have been easier. A true knight was not recognized by the brilliance of his armor. He was recognized by the strength of his honor. The Orcadians lived by this same invisible code. No crowds gathered to celebrate every difficult choice they made. No poets stood waiting to praise every sacrifice. No historians recorded every quiet act of courage. Yet those unnoticed moments became the very reason their people endured. This is something every dreamer must understand. Your future is not determined by the moments when everyone is watching. It is determined by the moments when no one is watching at all. Anyone can appear disciplined for a single day. Anyone can pretend to be brave for a few minutes. Anyone can speak confidently before an audience. But true character is revealed in the silent hours, when there is no applause to earn and no reward waiting at the finish line. Ask yourself honestly, who are you when nobody is looking? Are you still committed to your purpose? Do you still honor your word? Do you still move toward your dream even when no one notices your effort? That is where kingdoms are truly built. Imagine a great castle standing proudly upon a hill. Travelers admire its towering walls, its magnificent gates, and its soaring towers. They marvel at its beauty and strength, yet very few ever think about the stones buried deep beneath the ground. Those stones are never praised, they are never seen, they receive no glory, yet if they are weak, the entire castle will eventually collapse. Character is the foundation stone of every great life. Without it, talent becomes arrogance. Without it, power becomes corruption. Without it, success becomes temporary. The Orcadians understood that lasting greatness could never depend upon fortune alone. Storms could destroy buildings, time could erase monuments, wealth could disappear in a single generation. But a people who possessed discipline, honesty, and perseverance carried something no enemy could easily steal. That is why their greatest treasure was never something they could hold in their hands. It was something they carried within their hearts. The world today often encourages comparison. It tells you to look at someone else's achievements and question your own worth. It tempts you to believe that because another person is moving faster, you must somehow be falling behind. But remember the oak tree. It does not rush because the grass grows quickly. It does not envy the flowers because they bloom first. It quietly strengthens its roots year after year until one day it stands taller than everything around it. Greatness has never belonged to those who hurried. It has always belonged to those who endured. Every act of discipline you practice today is another root reaching deeper into the ground. Every temptation you overcome makes your character stronger. Every promise you keep adds another stone to the kingdom you are building within yourself. King Arthur often chose the difficult path because he understood that easy choices create weak rulers. Difficult choices create honorable ones. The Round Table was not remembered because it gathered perfect people. It became legendary because imperfect people chose loyalty over selfishness, duty over comfort, and honor over personal gain. The Orcadians lived with that same quiet determination. They understood that greatness is not found in extraordinary moments alone. It is found in ordinary decisions repeated faithfully for years, one honest word, one disciplined habit, one courageous choice, one selfless act again and again, day after day, year after year. These small victories may appear insignificant to the world, but together they shape a life that cannot easily be shaken. Never underestimate the power of quiet consistency. A river does not carve through solid rock because it is the strongest force on earth. It succeeds because it refuses to stop flowing. Your determination works the same way. Each day of effort seems small. Each lesson seems ordinary. Each sacrifice feels unnoticed. But over time, those ordinary moments become extraordinary results. The Orcadians never needed history's loudest applause because they understood something far greater than recognition. They knew that the measure of a person's life is not how many people remember their name. It is how faithfully they lived according to their values, even when no reward was guaranteed. Perhaps this is the greatest secret history seldom tells us. The strongest kingdoms are first built within the human soul. Before a leader can inspire a nation, he must first conquer his own fear. Before a warrior can defend his people, he must first master his own weaknesses. Before a legacy can change the world, it must first be forged in countless unseen moments of discipline, integrity, and perseverance. That was the hidden greatness of the Orcadians. Their names may not echo through every history book, but their example speaks across the centuries. They remind us that true greatness does not demand to be seen. It quietly grows stronger with every honorable choice, every act of resilience, and every step taken in faith, until one day the world looks upon the life you have built and calls it extraordinary without ever realizing that its greatest victories were won in silence. And so, when the winds of life begin to rise and the seas of uncertainty threaten to pull you away from your purpose, remember the Orcadians. Remember that their greatest legacy was never the islands they called home, but the strength they carried within their hearts. They proved that resilience is greater than comfort, unity is stronger than pride, and quiet character outlives loud success. The world may never applaud every sacrifice you make. It may never notice the early mornings, the sleepless nights, the failures you overcome, or the discipline you practice when no one is watching. But history has always favored those who refused to surrender long before it ever remembered their names. Walk through life as King Arthur would have walked, not searching for the easiest road, but choosing the path that builds honor. Let every setback become your teacher, every challenge become your training ground, and every victory become an opportunity to lift others beside you. Build your kingdom not with stones, but with integrity. Wear your crown not upon your head, but within your character. Because, in the end, the greatest battle is never against the storm outside. It is against the fear within. The greatest kingdom is never the land you rule. It is the life you build. And the greatest legacy is not that the world remembers your name, but that your courage, your discipline, and your unwavering spirit inspire others long after your journey has ended.